Hello and welcome to this video titled The Collapse of Islam in Japan Explained. So recently, Islam has been collapsing in Japan, and this is explained by the fact that it collapsed in Iceland once the Socialist Party, led by Gunnar Smári Egilsson, collapsed, died. As a result of that, Islam is collapsing everywhere, not as a result of what happened in Iceland, but as a result of past forward collapses. When something spreads from Syria to Iceland, like Islam did, and it is not based on fact, then it will collapse everywhere, instantly, no matter where. It's going to collapse there too. So the best thing that an imam can do in 2026 is to just cut it all out and stop focusing anymore on believing things like that a man went to the moon and met a bunch of guys and no one asked for proof positive that it happened. That's what the Quran says. It says that somebody went on a donkey to the moon and met a bunch of guys and then came back to Earth. This would not have been possible if the technology to take people to the moon did not exist back then. So, Islamic belief must be rooted in fact. It must be based on fact if it really means to survive. That is to say, if its adherents want it to survive. No one said that they wanted Islam to survive. They all just said, we want to survive. We want to survive, we want to survive. So what happened was that Muhammad said, we want to survive, and then he went and did what he did, and Islam is the anti-result. It's the anti-result of what happens when people follow advice from interdimensional beings which do not seem to have taken a course in dimensional etiquette. That's all. And the anti-result is that once everyone has access to information about Islam, they are going to discover its past history, what the Muslims did, what the Imams did, what everyone did there, and what that means, especially for women. It's collapsing in Japan because Japanese people are not dumb. In my opinion, Japan is the land of common sense. Iceland, on the other hand, is the land of proof. So any attempt to force Japanese or Icelanders to submit to a belief system that does not have the request for proof positive at its core fundamental level is going to collapse. So the Islamic world is no longer able to hold on to the belief that a man went on a donkey to the moon and met a bunch of guys. Just like in some regions of the world, people believe that the earth is a turtle and it's resting on the back of other turtles or whatever, and then there is a ground and there is a top. And when people ask, how is this turtle going to breathe? These guys do not have the ability to find proof that the earth is really the back of a turtle. So once people stop believing those kind of things, they do that because they are growing up. They are not doing it because they are traitors or because they are worshipping the wrong idol. There is no such thing as the wrong idol. They are not being irrational. They are not being crazy. They are doing what is essentially the opposite of crazy, the opposite of irrational. When you tell people that somebody went to the moon on a donkey in 2026, they're going to call you crazy. They're going to tell you the same things that they now say to Stalinists, which is very natural. There is nothing divine about the man who carried the accounts of horrific actions that on this would eventually here he carried out things that are beyond amoral. They're completely amoral. What he did was that he killed a significant amount of people who were Russian because he hated the Russians, and that's why his belief is called Stalinism. Those are beliefs which are not considered valid anymore. Stalinism is based on magical thinking. For example, the magical thinking that my soul somehow disappeared from my body and now I am soulless. My free will somehow disappeared from my essence and so I have no essence anymore. These are nonsense-based beliefs. When beliefs are based on nonsense, they become what's known as nonsensical beliefs, and that tells you that Muhammad must have had some sort of a mental illness to be able to carry out the actions that he did. Otherwise, he would not have done what he did, and he would not be being condemned by women from all walks of life. So there you have it. Some say that Islam is founded on, disrespect for women. Others say that that's not true, and they point out to Quranic references where people are being told to respect women. The reality is that once you have one guy went to the moon on a donkey and met a bunch of guys, analogy or story or whatever you would like to tell it or call it, then it's game over, basically. So what's happening in Japan is that they're simply asking Muslims for proof that Muhammad really went on a donkey to the moon. And if no one has proof of that, then they're not going to be willing to participate in Islamic activities. And that's how simple it is. That's what happens when a whole religious sect, a whole religious community collapses. It begins at first on an island, and then the message moves to another island. And this message is being spread now to all of the islands, to all the countries that Islam had previously collapsed in, or had previously started in. And that's the message that nobody can go to the moon on a donkey and not have any helmet or anything. They would have to have been a suite for the man, and they would have to have been a special donkey suite for the donkey. That detail was simply not added to that Quranic narrative, and therefore you have debunked the moon landing story. And that's also one of the most important reasons for why Japan is abandoning Islam for good. It failed there, and it was not modernized enough to be able to adapt to modern life. And that's it for now.